little spin out, and they put me to the back, which means it was my fault that we spun out. So I had to go back and start in the back, and we had about 10 laps left to go in the race, and I worked myself up to 2 laps to go. I cleared the second place person. And I looked, and a full half lap ahead of me was the guy that was in first place. Well, I honestly didn't think I was going to catch him. I thought, well, pretty much the race is over, and I think everybody else did. But I kept the hammer down, and I kept driving. Coming out of turn 2, on the last lap, I got a little bit on the inside of it. And I got my fender up on my right front fender on his rear fender, kind of like this. And then as I started to pull him a little bit coming down the straightaway, I knew when I got to one point that he was looking this way and he could see my front fender out his left side. But when I knew that he could see me out that left side, then it was just Katie bar the door then, because it was whoever's going to let up before we get to the end of that straightaway. And I made up my mind right then that I wasn't letting up. He's going to have to let up before I do. If he don't let up before I do, we're going to the wall. But anyway, so I just kept the hammer down, and sure enough, when we got to the turn, he let off a little bit, and he fell back a little bit. And I turned left, and I was going so fast then, seriously, it went all the way up next to the wall, and he started trying to cut below me. Make a long story short, I gathered it all up, and I won that race. And it was just like I just won Daytona. And I want to tell you that. I tell you that story because I believe that's almost exactly where we are in this race. We got 2 laps to go, and Sanford's still ahead of us a little bit. But I tell you what, in the last few weeks, we pulled up there, and we're right there beside him now. And he's looking out that left side, and he's seeing that front fender come. And in the last 8 weeks of this race, my foot is going to be flat on the floor. And I am not letting up. I'm not lifting it. If he don't lift before I do, then we're just going to see who can bounce off the wall of this. Because we are absolutely committed to do everything we can to win this race. I believe that we need to leave everything on the field and not leave anything in the bank when we get through with this race. And I believe we have the opportunity to win it. I believe he's going to lift first. Tell him that. You know, I believe I can give the 2nd Congressional District something that you haven't had in a long time. And that is somebody who will absolutely, truly represent you first. We haven't had that in a long time. We've had somebody who'll go to Washington, who'll try to come back home and tell us what Washington says is good for us. Represent Washington to us instead of representing us to Washington. And I'll do it the right way. My first vote won't be for Nancy Pelosi, I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee if she's still there when I'm there, and I hope she's not, and I don't think she will be. But if she is, I know how to tell her no, and I can tell her no and make her believe it. And will absolutely not be sold out or not sell out to any kind of special interest. And I'll be honest with you, I won't let the Republican Party push me around and tell me to do something I don't want to do or something that's not good for the 2nd Congressional. And the last thing is, you won't have to worry about me embarrassing. I'm not going to try to do anything that I know is not right. I don't care whether it's legal or illegal. If it's unethical or immoral. I worked for the state. I worked for the prison system several years ago, and I had a warden that was a hard charger and a driver, and he called me in one day and wanted to know if I'd be interested in a deputy warden position. I was a chaplain at the time, or I was actually a chief counselor at that time. And I told him, I said, you know, he said, well, we talked a little bit, and I said, listen, I said, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do, as long as it's not illegal, unethical, or immoral. You know, I'm going to do whatever you ask me to do. And that's what I'm going to do for you as a congressman. I'm not going to do anything illegal. I'm not going to do anything unethical, and I'm not going to do anything immoral. You won't have to worry about me embarrassing you. But I guarantee that I'll do what you want me to do as a representative, because I'll be listening to you. If I have a doctor problem, I'm not going to go to Washington and ask some lobbyist what we need to do to solve a doctor problem. I'm going to come to the 2nd District and talk to the doctors and say, hey, you tell me what works and what doesn't work. If I have a farmer issue, I'm not going to go to some ag lobbyist in Washington and say, what do we need to do? I'm going to come to the 2nd District and ride over to Leary or somewhere